Hi everyone, welcome back to another PT Clinic presented by yours truly, and I'm excited to bring you some new content this week. Last time we talked about training at home and utilizing your surroundings for working out, but now we're getting into the next best thing, which is creating a workout regimen from scratch. I'll go over the foundations of it and how to properly structure the workouts. I'll also go over some new terminology that might be new for you again, but don't worry, I'll explain everything in this presentation. I also provided some examples on how to structure out the workouts with different categories depending on your level of fitness. Other than that, let's go ahead and get started, people. So here we have the topics I'm going to go over today. First one on the list, we have hypertrophy, which I'll explain more in the next slide. Then we have the exercises, which is basically a list divided into lower body and upper body exercises. Next, we have volume, or in other words, the quantity of sets, reps in a workout along with the number of exercises. Finally, we have circuit training, which is a style of training that can help gain muscle endurance, muscle strength, and bring a new level of intensity to your workouts. Now let's go ahead and talk about our first topic. Hypertrophy, or in other words, the enlargement of an organ or tissue from the increase in size of its cells. As a personal trainer, I train my clients according to their needs. Some of them want to lose weight or tone up a bit, but the most common training practice I implement is resistance training. The sets and rep ranges in the resistance training is set to stimulate the muscle for growth. I like to think hypertrophy as the golden standard for muscle growth. However, that's just my opinion. For example, if the rep ranges on a squat are from 1 to 5, this individual is most likely training for strength. This person is trying to lift a certain amount of weight for 1 rep and it requires all of your effort. However, if this same individual performed the rep ranges of 10 to 15, that's more optimal for muscle growth. The way we can make our muscles grow is stimulation. Some type of stimulation, and that's how we can see those results we've been looking for. So when we discuss about volume of exercises, just know we're talking about hypertrophy as well, and how hypertrophy plays a big role in getting the results you want. So now that we talked a little bit about hypertrophy, let's go ahead and discuss the type of exercises you'll be doing. Functional movements such as squats, rows, or lunges are some examples. Other trainers may argue this is not necessarily a functional movement, but in my interpretation of functional movement is type of movements that we naturally do in our daily lives. Okay, if you look at some of the biomechanics from certain exercises, there is some similarity to the movements we do in our daily lives. Take, for example, a simple lunge. Sure, we'll never actually do a lunge when we're walking, but there are certain components like stability and single leg strength that can help a person move better. So for example, let's say I have a sedentary 6-year-old elderly man. He wants to be more active. So I start training lunges. Some may argue, well, why are you making a person lunge? Aren't his joints or muscle bad? Not necessarily. What I'm doing is I'm stimulating his muscles for growth. I'm pretty sure later on in his age, this person does not want to deal with any type of arthritis or osteoporosis, or even lose some of his fitness capacity. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to be 70 and on a walker or on a cane. Most of us would prefer to be in the most healthiest shape possible. So when I talk about functional movement, I'm talking about movements that we do in our daily lives that will benefit us in the future. It's not so much about what exercises look the coolest when we work out, but more what are some more beneficial to us. Sometimes social media can give us this false idea that if you're not doing 100 push-up rows while with 1 leg on a yoga ball while having 100 pounds on your back, then you're doing it wrong. Nope, that's not true. Realistically, simple movement exercises gets you the most bang for your buck. But now we divided these exercises into the upper body and lower body portion. I recommend to have variety in your workouts and try not to repeat them every day. So try not to do dumbbell rows Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It gets too repetitive, and it gets to the point where you're going to get tired or bored of it. You're not going to have the motivation because you're not looking forward to training rows again. So find alternatives, like the gentleman in the picture to the top left. He's doing battle ropes. Sure, it's not really lat focused, but it is targeting some of the arms, a little bit of your lats. So just find alternatives to it. Even machines work. If you're tired of doing dumbbell rows, you can do machines. If you're going to a gym right now, hopefully you are practicing social distancing and keeping yourself clean, use machines. Machines are there. They're also a good tool. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to divide these exercises into upper body and lower body portions. However, there are fundamentals such as the squat, the deadlift. Those are some of the fundamental exercises that everyone should do. But at the end of the day, you can always do alternatives, okay? So let's go ahead and look at the next slide. And here we have the list of exercises. But these are just a few examples. However, there's a whole variety of them online, so you don't have to worry about too much. If there's not enough for you here, you can go ahead and just go Google some later. If you look over to the upper body section, we have push-ups, we have tricep dips, pull-ups, bear crawls. All these exercises can help you focus on the upper body portion, whether it's targeting the chest, the shoulders, the back, the arms. These are some examples that you can use in your workout. Now, I'm not saying you should do only these workouts, but these are just examples. So please keep that in mind. If you look over to the lower body section, we have squats, lunges, deadlifts, my favorite, sprawls, hip thrusters, you name it. If these are workouts, focus on your quads, hamstrings, even a little bit of the lower back and calves too. As we can see, there's a whole variety of exercises. And there's not just one exercise for everything. Yes, there are exercises that target all of the muscle groups. However, we want to stimulate the muscle as much as we can. So dividing it into two portions and focusing on each muscle group is going to get us the best results. Okay? If you have weights at home, then some of these exercises won't be a problem performing them. However, it may be difficult if you're just doing body weight. So I suggest investing in some dumbbells or kettlebells or whatever you can find. If that's not possible, I did talk about using household items as weights in my previous clinic. They may not be like the real thing, but at least it's better than nothing. So try to be creative and see what you can find. Now let's talk about frequency for a quick minute. Frequency is basically the amount of work you do either throughout the day or the week. This can be preferred or referenced to sets and reps, as well as the training volume. Not everybody will be training the same way, so I divided it into 3 different sections depending on your fitness level. So let's look at the beginner section. If you're new to exercise, I recommend training 2 times a week consisting of a full body training. In simple terms, you're only training 2 days out of the week and you're targeting both upper body and lower body the same day. You need to give your body some time to adjust to the stress and stamina that it takes to perform these exercises. It's not something you can just stand up early in the morning and just start doing it. It takes time, practice, and effort to accomplish it, so keep that in mind. Doing anything too fast or too hard is what leads to injury, and that is the last thing you want to do when it comes to exercise. So for all you newbies out there, make sure you go at your own pace. Now, if you're more of an intermediate person, for example, if you've been exercising for about 6 months, I'd even argue maybe 3 months, then training 3 times a week will be best suited, consisting of full body training. Although it's just 1 more day, you are increasing the training volume, which means you are increasing your intensity. Now, instead of giving your muscles anywhere between 2 to 3 days rest, you're only giving your body 1 day of rest in between the training sessions. It's only a little bit more difficult to adjust but however, it's setting you up for greater success, because at the end of the day, fitness is not something you do for short term, but rather it's a long term. It's a lifestyle change. And finally, we have our last category, which is the advanced portion. If you've been training for a year or more, training 5 days a week will definitely be best for you. You can split the days up between upper body, lower body, and even cardio days. On upper body days, I recommend to do exercises in the pull and push variation. So upper body exercises that requires you to push the weight, and upper body exercises require you to pull the weight. You can divide the work into 2 days or hit it all in 1 day. For example, if Monday, Wednesday is going to be my upper body days, I can do Monday is my push day. Any muscle group that requires me to push the weight is going to be Monday. And Wednesday will be my pull day. Any muscle groups where I'm pulling the weight is going to be my pull. Or you put them together. Monday and Wednesday are going to be in push and pull days. Whatever you prefer does not matter more. But what matters more is making sure you're getting enough sets and reps in so you can finally see those results. On cardio days, you can be as creative as you want with it. For example, taking a 1 hour walk is good enough. Bike riding for 30 minutes to an hour is also best. When you think of cardio, you want to think of long duration exercises. Yes, running and jogging is a great way to help lose some of that excess weight we probably gained over in this quarantine, but go at your own pace. Just remember, this is not a race, it's a marathon. But most importantly, enjoy your workouts. Don't think of it like a full-time job, but rather a pleasure, so to speak. You gotta have fun when you're training, and that's all it is. And that's what's really gonna dictate whether or not how much of a lifestyle change you're gonna have. If you're willing to make the effort for a much better lifestyle, then things will come out just better. So like the previous slide, I also have different categories for beginner, intermediate, and advanced people. Here's what your volume should look like when you start to train. For beginners, you want to have 3 sets and anywhere between 12 to 15 reps per exercise. If you have weights, make sure they're not too heavy for you to perform. Remember, technique is very important. So if you have any equipment which is too heavy for you to use, just stick with body weight. It's totally fine. It's totally fine, because I don't want you to hurt yourself, and that's going to keep you on the sidelines for a very long time. However, I know it's going to be difficult to buy weights, or hard to find, or they're just too expensive. If that's the case, all you need to do is lower the rep ranges to 10 or 8. So again, to clarify things, if you do have weights at home, but if they are too heavy to perform, maybe lower your rep ranges from 8 to 10. If you tire out at 6, then you should be fine to do 8. If you're tired out at 12, then that weight should be sufficient enough for you to do. That's just a reference. Okay? For beginners, you're only going to be training upper body and lower body in the same day. 3 of them. 3 upper body and 3 lower body exercises each. So if you want to look back at the list I provided, make sure you pause the video, go back, write down some of the exercises, and put it all together. Now for your rest time, it should be anywhere between a minute or a minute 30 in between sets. Have a stopwatch at hand, or just use your phone to time yourself. If you feel like you still need to catch your breath, or you're still tired, make sure you give yourself some extra time to do so. However, when you're performing these exercises, you need to give it all. I don't think people hear this enough, but you have to go 100%. You have to go harder than last time on these exercises. If you're a beginner, go at your pace, but I'm speaking more towards the intermediate and advanced people. You gotta go harder than last time. Otherwise, you're just gonna be stuck and plateauing. Okay, you have to commit to them. No half repping, no half doing it. You have to commit to it. Okay, so for my intermediate lifters, we want to do anywhere between 3 to 4 sets, but depending on what exercise you could do, stick to 4, but if you want to, you can stick to 3, but I suggest 4 sets is the way to go. The rep range is almost the same like the beginners, but more focused towards the 12 rep range. I'm okay with 15, but if you're gonna do 12 reps, make sure to increase the weight, okay? But if the weight you are using is too heavy, then just lower the reps like I mentioned before. Now you can do 3 to 4 upper body and lower body exercises as well, but however, if you feel however you feel, you can increase or decrease these exercises. There are some days where you're might be at 100%. So it's okay to take it back a notch. But I am not your doctor, nor am you. So you have to figure out what's best, whether it's increasing the weight, the sets, the reps, or the exercises. Also, if you want to, you can add 2 to 3 ab exercises at the end. Beginners can also add these exercises towards the end of the workout, but I suggest just focusing on your upper body and lower body first as you gradually get used to the workload. And also, if it's too easy, then just go ahead and add some ab exercises, okay? And just like I mentioned in the previous category, your rest time is about the same in between sets. Finally, we have the advanced category, and this is where things do get a little bit tough. You're doing anywhere between 4 to 5 sets, and your rep ranges are anywhere between 10 to 12. But keep in mind, even though the reps are lower, the weight has to increase, and that is why the rep ranges are lower, because what we're doing takes a lot more work to do so. Again, if you don't have any heavy items or weights available, then try timing yourself instead. For example, do 30 seconds of as many squats as possible, then take your break in between the sets. But remember, we're working what we have, and we have to be creative in what we do. Like in the previous category, we can add ab exercises, but now we're going to increase that workload, and our breaks are just going to be a little bit more smaller. So just to summarize everything, for you beginners, 3 sets, 12 to 15, 3 and 3 of each muscle group. Intermediate, 3 to 4 sets. Stick to that 12 rep range, not so much 15. 3 to 4 muscle group exercises, and take the same amount of breaks. Advanced, I want you guys to go as intense as possible, 4 to 5 sets. Stick to that 10 to 12 range, 4 to 5 upper body and lower body exercises, and do some ab exercises. But your breaks are going to be way more smaller than before. Okay, this is basically a blueprint how your training days should look like, both volume and frequency wise. So take about a minute or so to write down some notes for you, maybe take some pictures. But before we finish this presentation, I want to talk about one more training style, which is circuit training. So circuit training is a form of body conditioning that involves endurance training, resistance training, high intensity aerobics, and exercise performed in a circuit. Like I mentioned before, if we don't have the available weights or don't have heavy enough equipment to stimulate our muscles enough, circuit training can be good alternative. I will say it's a lot harder to perform, especially for beginners, but I do recommend it for intermediate to advanced lifters. Remember, hypertrophy is when we can grow a certain muscle or tissue, so the more stimulation we have, the better results we can get. If you look at the example, you can do 35 seconds of as many dumbbell rows as possible, and then take 30-second breaks in between each set, and then you just repeat it 3 to 5 times. You can do this by one exercise at a time, or implement all the exercises at one time. So take your 3 upper body and lower body exercises, complete one set of either, take about 35 seconds or more, and then you take your break. And you move on to the next exercise, and once you're done, you move on to the next exercise. And once you're done repeating all the exercises once, take about a 1 minute, 2 minute break, and then you should do it 3 to 5 times. Okay, so you can do it one exercise at a time, or do all exercises at a time. You don't have to do one style of circuit training. You can do other styles as well. And if you're curious about, you can look it up online, some of these circuit training examples online as well. But this is basically the fundamentals, so to speak. Alright guys, but that's pretty much it. I have explained how to organize your training regimens, what frequency you should have, and what your volume looks like, and what exercise you can do, and also teach you a little bit of the fitness knowledge. I hope everyone enjoyed this presentation, and I will be back in November for more content for you guys. Thank you everyone for joining, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you, and bye-bye.